Swanee, God has smiled on the Gators, no question about it.
It was absolutely nauseous how well documented and repulsive and imbalanced Florida was on special teams underneath Billy Napier. Whether too many or not enough men lined up on the field, you had players wearing the same jerseys, procedural fouls, like guys not lining up correctly, false starting, offsides, you name it. The Gators under Billy Napier never failed to have a mess up on special teams. Time and time again, the third phase of the sport of football was the Achilles heel, not the backbone of the program. According to former players and pundits that are close to the program, there was a lackadaisical approach to special teams in practice. Players refusing to sub in on special teams after third downs and scoring plays. Some players cited that the special teams unit would be confused about who's responsible for signals and lineups because Billy Napier hired so many staff members to be on the sideline that getting coordinated was impossible because they didn't know who was the coach, who was the assistant coach to help them on special teams, who was in charge of counting the men that were on the field, or even if some of the guys were even coaches on the team at all. I have a link to a hail.com article talking about Billy Napier's response to the mishap they had against Arkansas in 2023. I'll put that in the description. When Billy Napier was asked about what happened with the illegal substitution penalty, he gave the typical coach speak. It was ultimately his responsibility and they have to get better. This wasn't a first-time issue with the players getting properly lined up. It was just spotlighted big time because it was the downfall that led to the defeat. And not only did it lead to the defeat, Florida did not win a game the rest of that year. If the ball hadn't been pushed back, the kick would have been right down the middle instead of hooking wide right. Many times before the Arkansas loss, Florida had alignment issues throughout the season, and Florida continued to have alignment issues afterwards, even in Napier's quote-unquote best season when he lost 5 games. One of the many things players from the Urban Meyer era still recite was how important special teams was to their coach. So much so that he would make sure special teams players, that means kick, punt, coverage gunners, specialists, meaning your long snappers, your holders, your kickers, and your punters, your returners, they ate first in catering. Think about that. Special teams guys got to eat first. Not Percy Harvin, not Joe Hayden, not Tim Tebow, not Major Wright, not the guys that you think were not mainly the stars of the football teams, but the guys that were on the special teams unit. Another special teams emphasis was that if you block a kick, you'll win 90% of the time. If you follow Florida Gator alum and content creator Allie Peak Wilbur, you've had to hear her recite that over 1,000 times. That's because her husband, Eric Wilbur, former UF national champion punter, was on those UF teams. He heard that message and statistic over and over and over again, which translated to her. And how many times did we see blocked punts or kicks from Florida under Urban Meyer? It seemed like every other game. Think about the 2006 season. If Florida does not block what would have been a game-winning field goal versus South Carolina, Florida would have had 2 losses that year. Think about how different the college football playoff would have been in 2015 if Michigan did not blunder their punt against Michigan State. What about the 2009 BCS title game? Would Alabama have still been in it if they did not block that field goal that was being attempted by Tennessee? If Terrence Cody doesn't burst through the middle and block that kick, Tennessee could have won the game. Special teams are a part of football, and one play can just have the same impact as 2 offensive drives or 2 takeaways on defense. That was a notion that the Billy Napier staff inexcusably failed to comprehend. In February, new special teams coordinator Jonathan Galante expressed his desire to run a well-oiled machine 6 days of the week, citing that game day operations aren't just for Saturdays. The preparation, communication, translation, and most importantly, execution are prioritized over the previous 5 days from Monday through Friday. It's the same mindset that assisted Galante in being nominated for the Broyles Award as a contender for being the nation's top coach. Over the last 2 seasons, the Florida Gators have had quite a bit of specialists get quality accolades in NFL draft picks. Chimere Dike was the first player selected in the 4th round of 2025 for his stout return ability as well as his talents as a wide receiver. Jeremy Crawshaw was a 6th-round pick of that same draft. He went to the Denver Broncos. Trey Smack this year was selected by the Green Bay Packers in the 6th round. And even Florida's recent punter, Tommy Dorman, I believe his name was, Tommy Doman, he was selected in the 7th round by the Buffalo Bills. Long snapper Rocco Underwood was a first-team All-SEC player in 2024, I believe. So for a special teams unit that was much maligned over the course of 4 years, there were substantial players who helped clean up some of the issues. Talent wasn't the issue, coaching was. The importance of special teams, or lack thereof, was the issue. Refusal to see and find the lapses in judgment for practice and film study was the issue, and that all comes back to coaching. John Summerall, unlike his predecessor, has exhibited both the diligence and humility to hire veteran coordinators in all 3 phases of the game so he can monitor and assess the practice of each unit during, the execution of each unit during practice. Galante referenced how Summerall makes his presence known even in the special teams meetings. He's involved in everything. He's passionate about special teams. You want your head coach to be involved instead of just having him prioritize the offense and the defense. That level of involvement matters because special teams cannot be treated as a collection of leftover snaps for backup players. It requires the same organizational structure, film preparation, accountability, and repetition as the offense and defense. Every player must know where he is supposed to be, when he is supposed to enter the game, who is communicating the call, and what adjustment must be made when the opponent changes formation. One moment of hesitation can lead to an uncovered returner, a blocked kick, an illegal substitution, or another catastrophic penalty. Florida experienced nearly every variation of that dysfunction under Napier. Galante's arrival represents more than a change in the title. It reflects a philosophical correction. Florida finally appears to have a head coach who understands that special teams are not simply a transition period between offensive and defensive possessions. They are opportunities to alter field position, manufacture momentum, create scoring chances, and directly decide games. The Gators do not necessarily need to block a kick every Saturday, but they cannot continue surrendering hidden yardage, wasted opportunities, or sabotaging themselves through preventable procedural errors. The encouraging part is that Florida already possesses evidence that high-level special teams talent can be developed within the program. The recent accolades and NFL selections prove that the roster was never devoid of capable specialists. What it lacked was a unified operation that allowed those players to consistently succeed. Under Galante, responsibilities should be clearly defined, substitutions rehearsed, signals simplified, and situational awareness emphasized throughout the week. For Summerall, rebuilding Florida will involve more than improving recruiting rankings or modernizing the offense. It will require restoring discipline to every corner of the game. The quickest indication that the culture has changed may not come from a touchdown, drive, or 4th down stop. It may come when 11 players calmly take the field, execute their assignment, and make the type of special teams play that Florida once expected rather than feared. And to me, that is the perfect synopsis for how the special teams can be the secret ingredient for the Gators' resurgence. Florida is very talented on the offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side of the ball. We know the names: Jaden Ball, Vernell Brown, Dallas Wilson, Amir Jackson, Tramel Jones, Duke Clark, London Montgomery, Evan Pryor, Micah Mays. You go to the defense side of the ball: Aaron Childs, Miles Graham, Javari Flowers, Bryce Thornton. You name it, we know it. It's just that now they need to get that 3rd phase of the game to complement the offense and defense rather than hinder the offense and defense. Give your defense a long field to work with. Give your offense a short field to work with so they don't have to register 10, 11, 12 play drives to get opportunities to score, though that would be nice. Try to make it easy on them, because if your special teams is making offense and defense jobs a lot easier, your chances of winning the game are going to skyrocket. And hopefully with this, as we see John Summerall begin his tenure as the Gators head coach September 5th against Florida Atlantic, we can see an indication that things are going to be different at UF in every phase of the game: offense, defense, and special teams.